for making this all possible. It's wonderful that our community has had the opportunity to be exposed to Rabbi Steinberg and to the wonderful materials and curriculum of the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation, in particular for our schools, but for our community in general. Wonderful material about core Torah concepts, about Avas Yisrael, about Shmiras Haloshen, which is, I think, of great benefit to the whole Kehillah. The plan going forward this evening is Rabbi Mofson is going to make a very short tribute. The Chief Rabbi will then give us an introduction, followed by Rabbi Steinberg, who is going to give a multimedia presentation on the power of words. Rabbi Mofson, you're up.
Just very briefly, as Rabbi Saxon said, a very big thank you to the Tobiases, to the Urisons, to the Garbers for putting together this whole program, which is a very important program. I just want to thank the organizers for dedicating the shiur in the memory of my niece who passed away recently, and it's a real privilege that this shiur is in her honor. It's something that actually she exemplified. There was a memorial that they had for students after a memorial at Columbia, and it's amazing that she had the ability through Loshen Tov, by making people feel good, to impact on thousands of people. And just briefly, really in a synopsis, I've said it before, really to epitomize what she was in a way the way she died. There was three important things in her life. She literally died davening mincha on the bus. She had two things in her satchel. She had the letter of the Ramban. She had a book on the Eishes Chayil. The posuk that she was reading at that time that she had underlined was Vatischak Leyom Acharon, that basically that the end of life is a life where everything is inverted. And the third thing that she had was Tehillim. And finally, she was doing what she loved most. She was in the process of doing chesed for children that she never knew on Honduras. So she really was a very, very unique girl that impacted on thousands of people. I don't want to take up too much time, but once again to thank the organizers for dedicating it. I know it means a lot to the family, especially to my brother, his wife, and their kids. And please, God, we should only know simchas.
Very big thank you to Rabbi Goldstein for being here this evening. It always adds tremendous dignity and importance to events. Chief Rabbi has, as we could imagine, a very busy schedule. We thank him for making the introduction this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi Saxton. Thank you, Rabbi Mofson. I'd like to, on behalf of the entire Jewish community, to thank the organizers of this evening, and not only of this evening, but of this entire week, because the work of the Chofetz Chaim Foundation in America and around the world, and now here in South Africa, is very important work. It's vital for the spiritual health of any community to take this area of Torah life with enormous seriousness. And so very grateful to the Chofetz Chaim Foundation. We're grateful to Rabbi Steinberg for schlepping from so far to come and to bring chizuk to the community, and to the organizers, Dr. Avron Urizen, to Yaron and Shirley Tobias, and to Arnold Garber for making it possible. We all are very grateful to you, because this work of Shmiras Haloshen, of guarding one's tongue and ensuring that we're careful with what we say, is such an important part of what it means to be a Jew. I would also like to, at the same time, pay tribute to those who've been running the Shmiras Haloshen Yom Iyun on the Sunday before Tisha B'Av, that I've been privileged to participate in for many years, and that has been the forerunner of the awareness of the Chofetz Chaim Foundation in South Africa to the Aronovitzes, to the Walpis, and to others who've ensured that always the Chofetz Chaim Foundation video is made available over Tisha B'Av, and that awareness around Tisha B'Av is heightened. And that's so important, because because Tisha B'Av is the time that we do tshuva for all of this. Just wanted to share with you one thought this evening, and that is an interesting question, that one of the classic cases of Lashon Hara that was spoken and that is held up to be the example of Lashon Hara is that of the Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies. When the spies were sent into the land and they came back and they spoke Lashon Hara about the land of Israel. And in fact, the Rashi says there, Rashi quoting from the Midrash says that that's why the Parsha of the Meraglim comes just after the Parsha of Miriam. Because when we read about Miriam and how Miriam and Aaron spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, and then immediately afterwards we read about the spies, and it says they should have taken Musa, they should have realized that that even people as great as Miriam and Aaron were punished for speaking Lashon Hara even about their brother Moshe, even when they had such good intention, and they should have taken Musa, they should have taken an ethical instruction from that not to speak Lashon Hara about the land of Israel. And so one of the classic examples of Lashon Hara in the Torah is that of the Lashon Hara of the spies when they came back and they said the land is good but it's filled with terrifying enemies and it's a land that devours its inhabitants, and they discouraged the people from entering into the land of Israel. And the question that you can ask is that is an example of Lashon Hara about an inanimate object. An inanimate object. The land of Israel has no feelings. Can't hurt the land of Israel. It's a holy land, but it doesn't breathe, it doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have feelings. And so it's something which one would imagine is not an example of what Lashon Hara is really about. Because Lashon Hara, the real pain of Lashon Hara and the devastation and destruction of Lashon Hara is the harm that it inflicts upon the victims. When you speak negatively about another person, you damage their reputation with other people, you cause them emotional pain, and families are broken up, and friendships are broken up, and communities are broken up through Lashon Hara. It's so destructive, and it has so many victims. So why, out of all of the examples our sages could choose for the example of Lashon Hara, do we have the example of speaking Lashon Hara about the land of Israel? And indeed it is one of the classic paradigm examples, because the origins of Tisha B'Av itself are based on the fact that the Meraglim returned. It was the night of Tisha B'Av. The spies returned. It was the night of Tisha B'Av. So why is that held up to be if we're really talking about an inanimate object? And I think what it teaches us is that the evil and the destruction of Lashon Hara is not only about the victims. For sure it is about the victims, and that's a very important part of it. And a very important part of the sensitivity of the Torah is about the fact that there are people who are getting harmed. But there's something else about it. It's also about the person who speaks it. Because what it really is an approach of negativity. What is the sin of the spies? They came and they saw a land, and they saw the goodness of the land, and they saw a problem. Indeed, there were problems. They didn't point out, they didn't say anything false. There were terrifying nations that occupied the land of Israel, and indeed the battles to take place and the ones which were fought by Joshua and the conquering armies of Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, when 40 years later they merited to go in. Those were difficult and hard battles, and it took 14 years to conquer the land. So everything they said was true. But yet they came with pessimism. They came with negativity. They looked at the whole picture. Instead of seeing the incredible gift of the land of Israel, they saw all of the problems. Instead of seeing all of the enormous opportunities, they saw all of the difficulties and the pitfalls. And is that not the terrible thing about Lashon Hara? When we look at another person, we can look at the person and see the good, or we can look at the person and see the negativity. And that's the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that says, Havedanet kol adam l'chavschus, judge every person favorably. Everyone needs to be judged favorably. You see, if you judge a person favorably, then there won't be the Lashon Hara. What presupposes the Lashon Hara is the negative judgment in the first place. If we're thinking negatively about another person, then the Lashon Hara is a natural outgrowth of of the negative perception in the first place. And that's why our sages focus so much on this example of the land of Israel, because they're saying the root of Lashon Hara, before you even utter the very first word of Lashon Hara, the root of it is the negative perception. It's looking at another human being pessimistically and looking and seeing all of them, but only seeing their faults. And that's actually what the Sfas Emes says. Famous Gerer Rebbe says on the pshat of the Mishnah, Havedan es kol ha'adam l'chafschus. Judge every person. That's how it's normally translated. Says the Sfas Emes, judge the entirety of the person. That's how he translates that Mishnah. Havedan es kol ha'adam. Because if you look at a small segment of the person, then you will see, because ein tzaddik ba'atz asher yaseh tov v'lo yechetah. There's no righteous person on earth who only does good and doesn't sin. Everyone has got faults. Everyone makes mistakes. So you can focus on the mistakes and the faults and the problems, or you can look at the totality of the person and see their full situation and understand the good that they do and look at them favorably and understand where they're coming from and understand their faults and see past the faults, because you're seeing so much good. The roots of Lashon Hara is actually in Ayin Ra, is in the evil eye that looks at another person with such harsh judgmentalism. And that is why our sages choose this out of all of the examples. And the truth is, that positivity is what can energize the rest of our lives. Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky has an amazing idea on this line in Pirkei Avos, Havedan es kol ha'adam l'chafschus, judge every person favorably. He quotes the Rambam, and the Rambam says that, and it's based on another Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Rambam says, make sure, he says, one of the strongest influences on a person is their social environment, the people around you. It's the most strongest, the most powerful influence. And therefore the Rambam says you should try to surround yourself with tzaddikim and chachamim, with righteous people and with wise people, because they will influence you. Says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, if you look at another person and you judge them unfavorably and judge them harshly, then who are you surrounded by? You're surrounded then by people who are of low standing from a spiritual point of view. You're surrounded by people who are filled with negativity. All of a sudden in your worldview, you're surrounded by people who are a negative influence on you because you're seeing the negativity in them. But if you were to look at the people around you and see the positivity, you would then be living with righteous people. Meaning, and this is the amazing thing in the Vort of Rabbi Yaakov, he says that true, you have to live in a society of good people. But living in a society of good people is not just choosing the good people, but it's choosing to see the good in people, and then you are surrounded by good people. But that's the roots. Lashon Tov, speaking good, is about an optimistic, positive view of the world. It's about an optimistic, positive view of people. And that's why Lashon Hara is such a pernicious and destructive aveira, not just because of the words that come out of our mouths, but because of the thoughts and the perspective. And when we're judging harshly and we're looking at a narrow negative perspective on another person, then our sages teach us Hashem does the same for us. Why is it so important to judge everybody favorably? Because our sages explain Hashem treats us the way we treat others. If we look at others and we understand their faults and see the bigger picture and see the goodness within them, then Hashem can look at us and see past our faults and see the goodness. It's midah keneged midah, it's measure for measure. What we see, how we approach and judge others is how Hashem judges us. And so therefore in the roots of improving in this area of life and ensuring that we don't speak Lashon Hara, in the root of it is how we look at the world. And that is why our sages say, if you want the paradigm, the starting place of where Lashon Hara began in Jewish history, it was the sin of the spies. Not what they said, but what they saw. When they went to the magnificent land of Israel with its holiness and this incredible gift and what was promised to us, to our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they didn't see the promised land and they didn't see the holy land. They saw a land that devours its inhabitants. That was the lesson for all time of what the roots of Lashon Hara are about and the roots positively of what Lashon Tov is all about. And so let us all rededicate ourselves to improving in this area of Shmiras HaLashon, but realizing that the roots of it lie in how we see the world and that if we can judge favorably and see the world in a positive light, then we will see people in a positive light. And the great reward that Hashem will give us is that we will live in the world that we create with our own perception. If we see the good around us, then we will live in a world that is filled with good people. And if we see the good around us, we will see all of the beauty that Hashem has created in this world, and we will only have good things to say. And that is indeed a blessed space to be in. God bless you and thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Rabbi Goldstein, Rabbi Saxton, and all of you for coming. Up in heaven right now, they're looking down upon this room, seeing you coming for inspiration, being inspired, and looking for more inspiration. I would like to begin by congratulating the Johannesburg community of South Africa, as the CCHF, the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation, has launched a South African branch with the devotion and assistance from all those that we know so very much. Thank you. Tonight's title is The Power of Words. We all have dreams. As a child, we have dreams of graduating. After we graduate, we have dreams of getting married. After we get married, we have dreams of having a child. And after we have a child, we have a dream of having a home. And after we have a home, we have a dream of having a happy home. Hashem's dreams, if you may say, was shattered. His home is not where he wants it to be. His children are not where he wants them to be. Words. Words, we all know, destroy. It can destroy families, ruin friendships, uproot communities, and destroy the oneness of Am Yisrael, Hashem's children, and ultimately destroy the Beis HaMikdash. We live in troubled times and tormented times wherever we are, in the United States, in South Africa, and especially in Eretz Yisrael and Israel. We need shmirah. We need protection, and protection from the one above. We need protection physically as well as spiritually. I would like to share with you something that the chofetz chaim writes in his sefer. The Medrash says the following: Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Mikol tzarais, from all the troubles, habayis aleichem, that comes upon you, ani yochel lahatzel eschem, I'm able to save you. Provided, listen to these words, that you conceal yourself from a prowling tongue. Hashem says himself, from all your troubles, I'm able to save you. But provided, on condition, I will be shomer you if you're shomer your pet. If you protect your mouth, I will protect you. However, we must understand that it's not limited to words that are come out of our mouths. It's just as well as words that are out there in the social media. And those could even be more harmful. I would like to take this opportunity to show you a short video clip from the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation on the power that we have when we use our social media.
At 2:30 p.m., Shlomo R., a melamed in the local cheder, is in the butcher shop paying for a prime rack of lamb.
That'll be $132.
And so it begins.
I know it's not my business, but my cousin in LA saw that people are saying all kinds of things about your husband.
Here's the rack of lamb you asked me to pick up for the Shabbat brachas. It was exactly $132.
By 2:53, over 400 people in the community now think they know that there are serious problems with Shlomo R, and the news is spreading to Muncie, Lakewood, Lawrence, Chicago, Miami, and LA.
Shlomo, people are saying crazy things about you. Did you really spend $100 at the butcher?
At 2:29 this afternoon, Shlomo R was a beloved Rebbe and a respected member of the community. By 2:55, less than a half hour later, his reputation and that of his wife and children was destroyed. In the time it took for Shlomo to walk home, over 400 people became convinced that he was actually loaded with unexplained money and might be a poor role model for his Talmidim in the Cheder. Only none of it was true. If Lashon Hara is like a gun that can destroy a person, Lashon Hara on the internet is like a weapon of mass destruction. How many people have been ruined like this? How many times did we destroy the Beis HaMikdash today? Next time you're about to send or forward an email, text, or post about someone, think before you click.
I would like to take this opportunity to take this in another angle. Aynas Devarim, hurtful words, the Gemara says is learned out from Aynas Mamon, where someone cheats somebody monetarily. In dealings in business, what's prohibited, there are two ways. You can overcharge or underpay, and both of those are prohibited. So the same applies to Aynas Devarim, hurtful words. The question is, overcharging I understand. Saying things that are inappropriate, negative, hurtful, those I understand. But what does it mean that I underpay that is prohibited as in considered Aynas Devarim? I heard beautifully once that we could explain the hurtful words of underpaying in the sense when I have the opportunity and ability to say something nice to somebody, and I don't say it. You can overcharge by saying hurtful words, but just as well, you could hurt someone's feelings by not giving that compliment, not saying thank you for the dinner, or not patting somebody in the back when someone did someone a favor, or just a nice compliment as you meet somebody. I would like to take this opportunity to show you a video that shows us that we have the opportunity and abilities to use our words both negatively and as well as positively. I would like to take a moment and explain to you and describe to you that the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation is beyond the scope of Tisha B'Av. Many are aware of the Tisha B'Av event, however, there's much more to that. We have, Baruch Hashem, school programs starting from young children showing the importance of positive and Shmiras HaLashon. We have that as well in the high schools. And Baruch Hashem, I had the opportunity the past couple of days to visit the primary schools, speak in the primary schools as well as the high schools, implement some of the programs, which Be'ez Hashem will have much of atzlacha. In addition to that, we have events and programs, Shmiras HaLashon Yomi, different things that I'll mention, some Tiferes, and a Machzam Lefiz. We have phone lines, we have publications and books and CDs and audios, a lot going on, Baruch Hashem. The Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation of South Africa, as I had mentioned, has launched its initiative to create and allow for you to have that opportunity here. Visiting the schools, implementing in the schools, bringing the programs to the communities, and Baruch Hashem, we will, Be'ez Hashem, have a much atzlacha. I just want to show you a short video clip that we have that the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation put together. It's called A Day in a Life for the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation.
Welcome to a day in the world of the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation, where we teach Klal Yisrael the laws of proper speech, Hashem's human relations training program. There are tools that the Torah has given us to remove anger, bitterness, and jealousy from our hearts and replace them with compassion and healing. From individuals to families, to schools, to Jewish communities across the globe, the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation offers dozens of programs and tools that unlock the door to a life of harmony, positive relationships, and unity within the Jewish people. And we invite you to join our extraordinary world. Over 12,000 calls are received daily by children who phone in to be dazzled by stories that teach the importance of proper speech. Chavrusas and study partners begin the morning by learning 2 halachos a day from Sefer Chofetz Chaim. Commuters listen to countless inspiring Torah shiurim while heading to work. 4 elementary school curriculums for over 25,000 students promote Shmiras HaLashon and Ahavas Yisrael right in the classroom. This custom animated superhero helped over 11,000 children discover lifelong tools to deal with bullying issues that come up in their lives. Mishmeres gives high school girls educational and extracurricular activities to promote Shmiras HaLashon and Ahavas Yisrael. Over 18,000 Torah inspirational emails are sent out daily, promoting the timeless lessons of the Chofetz Chaim. The Chazak hotline is filled with personal stories and messages of heartfelt inspiration and receives an astonishing 9,000 calls a day. Families unite on a free teleconference call to learn Shmiras HaLashon together as a zechus for Yeshua or Refuah. TikTok is an innovative hotline that unites high school girls around the world and receives over 6,000 calls each day. Educational and entertaining books created for children of all ages, from the young to the young at heart, are read day in and night out. Tiferes home-based meetings feature world-famous speakers lecturing to young women on timely topics such as shalom bayis, parenting, and personal growth. The new powerofspeech.org is a website designed to promote Shmiras HaLashon through daily learning programs. People can set up their own Shmiras HaLashon groups and invite friends from around the world. These are just some of the many projects produced by the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. Shmiras HaLashon is a Torah's perfect guide for bringing out the best in ourselves and the unity that is so crucial to our people. Each program takes only a few minutes, yet carries the promise of all the blessings we earn by using our power of speech to bring kindness and compassion into the world.
We need Hashem's protection. We need Hashem's shmirah, physically and spiritually. But what can we do? What can we do over here in South Africa? As I mentioned, we started school programs. But we had started as well a WhatsApp, 30-second WhatsApp for daily learning. We could take that to another step and create Get Chavrusashafts. A Chavrusa, a partner to learn a daily halacha from the chofetz chaim in many of his different books. We can also sign up for daily emails on our website, Power of Speech, or sign up on many of our different books that we have for daily emails that we have. Power of Speech, either Daily Companion, Lesson a Day, Positive Word Power, many of our different books that we have. In addition, we have a women's group that they could get together once a month and have an audiovisual, DVD, inspirational, Tiferes? Called Tiferes. Doesn't come up? Okay. In addition to that, we can have something called the Machsam Lefi, where we could start with small steps with 1 hour a day. Baruch Hashem, that has seemed to be very successful, where our sages and our Rabbanim told us to take something small. Start with a Machsam, where I take 1 hour, where I'm extra careful on my Shmiras HaLashon. We created in our website where you can create your own personal group, either your own family or friends or community or shul, where you could create your group where everyone could take an hour, and it's posted on our website. I would like to show you now our video that we have for our website to create a group of the Machsam Lefi.
Meet Aaron. He has a sick relative and wants to do something to help. He knows that there is an amazing benefit to working on Shmiras HaLashon, and doing it is a merit for someone in need. Getting his family and friends involved is an overwhelming task for him, though. They live all over the world and have their own schedules. He visits powerofspeech.org and finds just what he needs to start a Shmiras HaLashon awareness group, a program in which people commit for an hour or two each day to focus on the proper use of their speech. He's excited to see how easy it is to start a group. Powerofspeech.org makes it easy for Aaron to organize, publicize, and monitor his group. He follows the simple steps to set up a group, sending an invite to family and friends. Each participant chooses a period that is convenient and fits their schedule. They can even receive a daily learning email and get online reminders 5 minutes before their time slot begins, so nobody forgets. What makes it even more exciting for Aaron is that all this is completely free. By making this small daily commitment, Aaron's group builds the habits and confidence to win the war against Lashon Hara. Not only is Aaron really helping his sick relative, he also got his family and friends to join him. Get started today at www.powerofspeech.org.
Thank you. I forgot to mention as well, we have a Power of Speech app that you could put onto your phone. You could watch videos, short inspirational video clips, as well as audio, as well as articles, all inspirational from many, many world-renowned speakers. I would like to conclude. Let's make history here tonight. It's Purim night, where we know that on Purim we have this opportunity for Mishlach Manos, Ish L'Re'ehu, to come and unite one with another. Let's allow ourselves the opportunity to grow and unite together in order to once again remove the bitter decree of exile that we're in for over 2,000 years. Through tonight, through our actions that we take upon ourselves, may Hashem look down and bring us up to his home in Yerushalayim with Mashiach Meher B'Meinu. Amen.
Hi everybody, it's great to see you all here and thanks for coming. It's a very important night in South Africa for us to be launching this, and just first of all a big thank you to Rabbi Steinberg. He's left his home out in the east coast of the United States to be with us for a week. He's literally, I don't know if he's worked more than Rabbi Mosson works a guest speaker when they come, but we've certainly put a schedule together here for him that I'm sure you've had very few hours of sleep since you arrived. But he spent almost every single moment of his waking time here in South Africa speaking to schools, communities, principals, really to to get this program going. And I just really wanted to say thank you. Thanks for your time and thanks for coming. And I also want to just say a big thank you to the Tobiases, Jeroen and Shelley, and to Arnold Garber. And there are some members of the committee, the broader committee, that's put this together. And just to say, it's a very exciting moment. You'll see these programs roll out in the schools that your kids are going to. You'll note from grade 1 through to the high schools, there'll be these programs. It's around a small dose every day to teach the kids. And really, it's one thing saying to a child, well, don't guard your tongue, don't speak Lashon Hora. But how do you make it practical for them? And that's really what we're taking the wisdom of the Chofetz Chaim Foundation in the United States and rolling those programs out in the schools. In addition, you'll see we've got the WhatsApp, the 30 seconds a day WhatsApp, but you'll see other community programs over the next couple of months. I know the CEO in America, Michael Rothschild, spoke to the Chief Rabbi earlier today. And we're going to be looking in the next couple of months to roll out a more broader Shmiras HaLashon initiative in the South African environment. So we're very excited about that. Just a parting word. On the tables that you're at, you'll see a form. If you can please just fill out your name and your contact details. And there are a couple of areas. If you're interested in either the 30 seconds a day WhatsApp or the community program, or there's a broader a Women's Tiferet monthly program, or if you'd like to participate in giving any donations to this organization, if you can just tick the relevant boxes on your way out, and just to say thanks to all of you for coming this evening.